Hello and welcome to the East Lampeter Township Public Meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join the meeting by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the Township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the Township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the Township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the Township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Got me, Ethan?
I can hear you now.
Good, awesome, that's great. We have an absentee member this evening, Roger Wood's not with us. In the room, we have member of the Board of Supervisors, Mike Thornton, and Vice Chair Corey Meyer. We good out there?
Yep.
Okay, great. That's great. Thank you very much. Okay, if there are agendas in the back of the room, there's also a area for signing in back there for the public record. If you would do that, please, before you leave. If you would please rise and join me in saying the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. Item number 3 on this evening's agenda is public comment for non-agenda items. So if there's an item on the agenda that you'll be speaking to, you don't need to stand up now. This is for public comment time only. No emails? Okay, that's great.
No chat, no.
That's good. Yep, that's great. You just want to come up here, sir, if you would. Yep. And just pull that right out of that little handle there and you can talk right into it. That way the folks on Zoom can hear you. So perfect. There you go. Yep. And just make sure the button is turned up there. Should be straight up, I believe. Okay. It's probably good.
I think we're on now.
Good. Ethan, can you hear?
Can you hear Ethan?
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ethan.
My name is Doug Sensnick. I live at 2209 Creek Hill Road. And I'll preface my remarks by saying I've spoken to Ralph Hutchinson on probably 3 occasions, and we've had several emails back and forth due to this issue. I've also spoke a number of years ago to David Sinopoli. And so what I'm bringing up and commenting on is based on that background. If I may, I have some photographs with me.
Please, yeah, just step up if you would.
handout.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thanks.
This is for Ethan, so I'll
That's great.
put it here
Yep.
and
We'll make sure he
so it's
gets that.
back.
Yep.
Ralph, you'll have to share. And
It's for me. Okay, thank you.
so I've done 3 photographs of the last 3 months. This is certainly not in any way grasp the last 10 to 20 years. What you're seeing is the back of 821 Hornig Road, which is I look out my kitchen window every day, several times a day, and out where I have my eating area. That is what I look at. The trash over the hill. Now a tree on the second one where they've cut down a tree and that's still there. And now piles of dirt put in. This house has been under construction in some way or form. I think the first permit, according to the owner, Gary Kunkel, was around 2001 or 2003, somewhere in that neighborhood. Some of the foundation was put in. It wasn't until around 2010 or 2012 that the garage, which you see as the corner, that's the back of the garage that you're seeing on the three pictures. And most of the time, all that trash has been there and remains at this point. He's cleaned it up a little bit now and then. He wants to redo the retention pond due to changes, but he has added another whole section to the house in the last 5 years. So this has been, he's been updating permitting or getting permitting all along. But what I've run into is, this is what as neighbors we look at and have to look at every day. And when I talked to David Sinopoli and also to Ralph, and I asked him to contact the solicitor, like, can this house go on forever not being built or finished? And to my understanding, yes, that's correct. There's nothing in the ordinances that says it ever has to be finished. Never has to be completed outside. During construction, he can have whatever trash he wishes to have. Township can't do anything about it. It just, I have to look at that. Our neighbors have to look at it. We've complained to him, we've talked to him, we've texted him. Nothing happens, and at this point, nothing can happen. So my point is, yes, I've looked at this for 14 and a half years since I've lived there. Neighbors have looked at that longer. Not all of this trash, but other forms of the trash during the construction that's been going on. And I guess I'm requesting for someone to look into if something can be added to the ordinances to say this type of thing really shouldn't be happening in our township. I mean, I have a construction company. I've never had a job site that looked this way for a week. I don't. They never look this way for a week, let alone 12 years or 20 years. I just think it's unexcusable. I don't think it should be allowed to happen. So I'm asking the supervisors to look into it. What can we do? Add something to it. But I think even as a contractor, I shouldn't have to be asked, but if I was asked to clean up a job site, I would do it. And I think someone like that should as well. I know he's the homeowner and the contractor, but I don't know that that changes anything. I had him standing in my backyard saying, Gary, is this a considered neighbor standing looking at? Well, I thought the tree hit it. I didn't see how much it was, you know. Well, that's been 4 years ago. And you can see the last 3 months, what it looks like. So we're very, very frustrated as neighbors, very disappointed. It does hurt the value of our properties if somebody comes and looks at it. The house wrap on the back of the garage still is not secured. That's been that way for probably, I'd say at least 12 years. There was other parts of the house that were completely open for years. The OSB that was on the outside was exposed to all the weather. They covered it with house wrap, put stone on. No one ever noticed it. So someone purchasing this house down the road is going to be in for a rude awakening because there's a lot of things in there that are going to deteriorate because they got covered up and weren't caught by any inspections because they didn't need to have it at the time.
Thank you, Mr. Sensen, for coming to the board, first of all. Obviously, Ralph, you know, there's a lot of history to this property. Yes, we all have, at least Corey and I, you know, in the past 12 years have been part of conversations of this property. and I'm not even sure if I can even say if the individuals, I think it was a husband and a wife or spouse or someone.
It was originally.
That then devolved into somebody taking this, one of the two of them, I think, maybe the gentleman, it sounds like in that relationship. So he is still involved with this.
Oh, yes.
Yes, that is correct.
So we had worked to try to get that thing moving along. I forget, we held financial security or something for the longest time. They were wrestling us with that. The permit is up here sometime in 2023.
Correct. The current permit would expire roughly August of next year.
Yeah. Is what means do we have approaching a contractor to say, hey, this project is to the point where, it's impacting the neighborhood. You got to get this moving. What do we have?
I mean, there's nothing stopping us from, having that sort of approach. We don't, as Mr. Sensen has indicated, we really don't have a stick behind it.
Yeah.
To be able to wield at this point.
Yeah.
So,
The other item, some of the debris there, and you see the tub, some type of hot tub or whirlpool tub. I don't think that is from him for his house. I don't think you'd buy something like that and set it out in the elements.
Which picture is that in? I'm
It's
sorry.
here.
That's
You
probably
can see it here,
what's going to be- Well, it's on all of them.
You can
I
see
see
it.
it.
It's in each
I see it.
one.
it looks like a
It's
piece
each
of wood.
Yeah.
So you look
Yeah,
at this
yeah,
one.
yeah.
But that there, you can't see it because of the tree now. There's a lawnmower that's been there for 4 years. But my point is, I think some of the debris is from other job sites that he does. I don't think it's all from here, which is a major concern of mine as well ongoing. If I had a sense that Gary would finish it and clean it up in the next year, I'd say, okay, I'm not going to bother. One, it's for other people in the township because I think something should be changed.
Yeah.
But I have no confidence that it won't go another 5 to 10 years until Gary actually finishes the project. I would not be shocked because he's told me numerous timelines and they're 4 or 5 years past now. So having things from other job sites potentially, plus not knowing if we'll ever finish it, I'd like to get working on something that could change that.
Yeah.
So that I don't have to look at another 10 years of going through this.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my hope.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Hutch, so August 23rd, 2023 comes and the current permit, building permit expires, assuming he does not complete the job. Which I think is a good assumption, by the way. What happens? He applies for a new building permit. At that point, he can apply. For a
Well,
building permit?
what's happened in the past is he's asked for extensions
Okay.
of the existing
Right.
permit.
Yeah.
So
Right.
he probably would ask for an extension,
Yeah.
would be my guess.
Yeah.
And that may or may not be granted.
Okay, and then my second question is, and by the way, I texted Ethan the photos, so he has them.
Okay.
He received them. If there was a burnt out tank, like a military tank in his backyard, has nothing to do with the construction. Is that cool because it's a construction site, or is it,
Right, at some point, the nuisance ordinance could be looked at,
Mhm.
as being applicable.
Yeah.
May I ask, have you, Mr. Sensenig, noticed any unsafe behavior, children climbing, anything like that? I mean, I think we would have ordinances that cover something that could be dangerous to the public, especially if it's not a restricted yard.
I've not seen anything. To my understanding, his son and his family are going to be moving into the house. They put a real push on to finish the drywall. And it appears they may be there, but I don't know that for sure. I can't say that at all. But there's no finished roof on that part of the house, but it's all drywall now, which is kind of like who's monitoring the job. I mean, I guess you can finish the drywall you want to, and if you get water damage, that's your problem. But there's a lot that isn't finished, and I don't know what needs finished for getting a CO. We'll have to talk to Ron about that, but I know basically if you have a sink and a toilet and you don't even need flooring, but I think you need a roof. So that's some other things that are going on.
So our nuisance ordinance, I can see things that we could apply. I think what I'm understanding from you, Ralph, is that Mr. Kunkel could make the case, is probably making the case. Well, this is all construction related. I'm involved in a construction project, and this is all related to my activities. So, you know, I'd be supportive of enforcing the nuisance ordinance and then trying to go down the path of, okay, you're going to make the case that some of this stuff is construction. You know, this jacuzzi that's sitting out here, and, you know, get some of these things out of it. We probably have some room to push some of that stuff. But back to your point, he's going to make a case that, well, see, all this stuff is construction related.
Yes. That, you know, and the tree is just sort of a natural condition.
He
So-
did bring that up to me when I talked to him about all the items previously. He said, well, I'm going to be using them. I said, Gary, when you want to use something, you stack it neatly so it stays straight and usable, and you cover it. Why would you have it just say you're going to use it, but have it thrown down over a bank? That's not construction equipment. That's debris. We have either a trailer or a dumpster on the job site, and we throw it all in and keep it
Yes.
cleaned up.
Yes.
And that's mainly what I'm asking him to do, is get it cleaned up. He has, obviously, from as large as the house is, there's room to put things inside, get them inside, you know, protect them and get them out of sight for us.
Put a construction dumpster there.
Yeah.
Put a
And he-
dumpster there for all the C&D, you know,
Right.
materials. You know, it,
Stored inside.
I think
And the
there's,
other item that I noticed now, that there is quite a few dump truck loads of dirt on the pipeline right away. And
well, you can tell when you
I
go
went
from your
through that
September.
with The one,
Yeah.
I bought the whole corner of the Cornigan, and I developed that. I had to put curb and sidewalk in. He was given a relief from that. And I know that he put dirt on the pipeline and had to take some off, but there are several piles on now, and I know David Sinopoli was after the Obiamas for some stone that was on their pipeline, threatening to take them and bill them to move them, when that pipeline is not in use at all. It's discontinued in Lancaster. Sunoco told me they will not use that pipeline. Yet that was a focal point, and now Gary has the other Texaco pipeline, and there's loads of dirt on it, and my knowledge, nothing being done. So it's some reason Gary's getting a lot of preferential treatment from the township. It seems like, and I'm trying to understand why he gets the treatment and it doesn't matter about neighbors. That's the feeling we're getting.
Can you speak to that concern? Are we,
This is the first I've heard about anything on the pipeline easement.
Yeah, they were put in about a week ago. There's loads of dirt.
you can see it on your 1113 picture here, Mr. Sensenig, between the 1019 and the 1113, there's clearly, there's a load of dirt that appears.
Well, there's several loads up through and
Yeah.
on that area.
Yeah.
So that's.
And where is that dirt coming from?
He had it hauled in. Because he had texted me, I had texted him 4 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that. I have to look back. He texted me about a month ago and said, sorry to get back to you, but my topsoil is coming now and I'm going to be moving ahead. Well, that's what's happened in a month and a half. We got some topsoil there. Burned some of the limbs and that was it. So still
So-
very slow.
So that debris that's on that pile of dirt has been deposited
That's
in
been-
only,
At least 5 years that's been
Oh.
strewn down over that hill. And to me, that's just, it'd be unacceptable for, I can't, a regular customer, I don't think would have it. He's willing to put up with it, but as neighbors, we have to put up with it. We can't go clean it up.
This is ridiculous.
are you saying the soil is on the other side? The soil extrusions
Well,
have been
there's,
dumped?
from that back corner that you're seeing is the back of the garage.
Yeah.
And the driveway's on the other
On the other
side.
side,
He's
yeah.
dumped a lot of dirt down over there
Okay.
3 years ago.
But
Okay.
this might,
That's,
this is what's recently appeared, Mike.
and then what's closest to you.
This pile, if you look at the 1019 to 1113,
Oh, yeah.
this little pile is,
So
it
that's-
looks like clean fill. I'm not sure if that's topsoil, it's
It's-
clean fill.
Yeah, I think it's a little darker in color. It appears to topsoil
There's some
and it's
dirt,
coming up through, but
grass clumps.
they also have a permit to redo the retention pond with my next door neighbor, where the pond is behind our homes.
Mhm.
To put the two together, fill in the yard of my next door neighbor, which that's been in the works for over a year. That was cool. That permit was given in June because Michael Manny sold to Sean Forrest, and now Sean owns it, but they wanted to get it all finalized so they didn't have to go through a lot of paperwork. That was my understanding. That was going to start in July of this year, and nothing's happened at this point, which is pretty normal.
Gentlemen, thoughts, Ethan, any thoughts, Ethan? I haven't looked to you yet.
I mean, I think we've addressed the options. We've got a nuisance ordinance, but that's gonna be difficult to actually do anything with. The only potential ordinance change that I'm aware of, if you're looking at a longer term solution, is the IPMC, which we have right now for non-owner occupied residences. So it wouldn't apply in this case, but it could be modified.
Okay, Corey.
Yeah, I mean, I think a first step is a conversation with the Concourse to, and if the nuisance ordinance can be used, I would attempt to use it. I'd be frustrated as well. I appreciate you coming and, yeah, I don't know, Mr. Kunkel. I know you said preferential treatment. I think when these projects have come in front of us, we've tried to help move them forward because they were going on for years and years and years. I've been on the board, 8, 9 years now? Probably come up 4 or 5 times, probably.
Yeah, he's had a variety of things before the board.
Yeah. My goal, if it appeared to be any sort of preferential treatment, was just to help the rest of the neighbors around. And now it seems that we have this issue. So any way we can, push the Kunkles or Mr. Kunkel to clean this up, I'm for.
Mike, thoughts?
I think you've covered. It sounds like you've been cordial. I mean, are
Yeah,
you guys able
I
to
agree.
communicate
Yeah, I've known
together?
Gary since
Yeah.
he's 4 years.
It's just a
Mhm.
procrastination issue.
Our families knew each other and so he's not a stranger to me. And
Yeah,
the very next door neighbor to him. I think his name right now, Scott Montague, was a very close friend of his, and they aren't friends of any close nature anymore because of him constantly. And Scott's lived there a lot longer than I did, but this issue of the debris and groundhogs in it and all those sorts of things over the years, it just keeps going and going and going. And I think there should be something looked at for construction sites. I mean, High Steel put up that multi-unit apartment building, and within a year it's finished and everything's cleaned up and great. It's like,
Agreed.
I don't see it much, if at all, anywhere else.
Yeah.
There should be something to address it if it comes up.
Agree.
Is where
Agree.
I'm trying to push
Okay.
to get something done
Agree.
to help future people.
We tried, Mr. Sensenig, I think Ethan had just mentioned it, a number of years ago, 5, 6 years ago or so. We were seeing a number of properties like this around the township. Some of it is older parts of the township that are, having some infill come up around them of newer properties. Those newer properties are of a different style or class. The individuals that move there are taking care of their property perhaps in a different way than the older parcels that are there. And we try to address some of this. We had extensive conversations with the community, had literally every seat filled and standing room only, a couple of different meetings. And we backed down from a full implementation of the International Property Maintenance Code, as Ethan was just saying, in a proactive fashion. And it was reactive only, complaint based for non-owner occupied, basically, tenants. And that's what we have in place. But we've had since that time, we've had properties that have come up and property owners who come to us and say the same thing. what can you do to this next to me here, you know? And so, you know, this may be time for us to look at it again. But just caution that a good many of your fellow residents in East Peter Township say, I don't want you guys coming, telling me what to do with my property. And Mr. Kunkel is, you know, a prime example of that. Hey, this is my property. I'm gonna do what I want to here. And I have a little challenge with that because if this was out in the middle of a rural setting and no one else was around, there'd probably be a few people complaining. But there are properties almost 360-degree around him now. And this has just reached a point of, in my estimation, of ridiculousness.
Yeah.
So I don't know that we have an answer for you tonight, but I think it's touched a nerve in us. I think we need to address this. Okay.
Appreciate
All
your
right, thanks. Yeah,
presentation. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Mr. Simpson.
You do something.
Yeah, the kids, yeah. Okay, anyone else from the public? No one else at this time? There's nothing online. Okay. We're going to, if we can, let's go right to item number 5. We'll skip over 4. We'll come back to the consent agenda, okay? Let's go to item number 5. We have students and a instructor. Public relations director and teacher. Do you want to bring, are they all in there? You can bring them on here if you would. Yeah, let's do that. We've got some great pictures up online and that allows people on Zoom to see it as well. We have something called Paint the Plows Recognition. And this is students from Conestoga Valley School District. So come on in, gang. Come on, you can come all the way up to the front here. Come all the way up to the front. You have a very small meeting tonight, so you can just come up and chat with us. So you want to sit there, it'd be great. You can do that, or you can stand up front here. So that's great. Okay. You want to introduce yourself and then maybe have the students introduce themselves? You'll need to speak into that microphone right there so that people online can, you can actually pull that right out of there and hold it up. You just have to do that.
Got you, Karen.
A lot easier. There you go. It should come out. There you go.
There we go. Okay.
Nope, you're good.
Okay. I'm Kara Hurst, one of the art teachers at Conestoga Valley High School. And unfortunately, not everybody could come who worked on the plow, but they were very enthusiastic about it overall. So it's been great. And you want to go ahead and
Yeah, introduce yourself if you would, please. You don't need to stand up. You can sit right there.
I'm Adrian Bonacci. I work on the plow.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great.
I'm Mackie Vickery.
Mackie? Mackie. Okay, great.
And I'm Joyce William.
Joyce?
Yeah.
Mackie? Adrian. All right. That's great. And you're all part of Kara's class. Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Actually,
Club?
yeah,
Okay.
it's a creative arts club.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Cool.
the president.
There's the Arts Club. What is the Arts Club? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So it was so each year we do something new. So every single year, basically whoever leads it, they could do something, whatever they want to do. And also like the members, they would put in some ideas. So for last year, we heard about the plow and it was something new that CB never really did it. So we were like, this is gonna be something different to do it. And then Mrs. Hurst definitely helped a lot. And she was the one that was like motivating us. We should do it. We should do it. So yeah, that was that. This
That's
year,
awesome.
we're gonna do something different. It's not gonna be as big as a plow, but it's gonna be, it's hard to top that off.
It's awesome.
Yeah, how can you beat
Yeah.
painting the
Yeah.
plows? That's
And
great.
so you have both students that attend the virtual academy and regular students, let's say during the day students. Yes, sir, do we have both? Oh, okay, okay. Well, we see them both. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Do you have the other picture? You can put it up.
I thought I was just
Yeah,
up
it's just
there.
up.
Yeah, we just had it up there, just, yeah, as you guys were coming in, we had it up on the screen there. We all went out and took pictures of it before the meeting. So we can post it on all of our social media accounts tonight. Yeah,
Oh, there you
so
go.
There's the kids.
Yeah, we had about 8 students that stuck with it till the end and then painted outside on very hot days near what, late May. Almost, school is almost over.
That's great.
I just got a little sports tent out. It was hot, but, yeah, I had a good time.
This your first time doing something like this? Yeah. Okay. Never painted a plow, so. Well, thank you very much for doing that. Staff, anything to add?
It was a great pleasure to work with Kara and with Ms. Upton with their students. They came up with great ideas. I have never seen students come into the Public Works building and just automatically had everything laid out. The president came and she rolled out this piece of paper. It was exactly the size. It fit perfectly and they just went to work on it and it turned out beautifully. Both of them did.
So
We thank
Great.
you.
That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you.
It's a great thing for the other kids to see as hopefully the snow comes this
Yeah.
winter.
Yeah.
Well, they're already saying they're gonna be super excited if they're along the curb and it's snowing.
That's great.
They can come around and say, I did that. Comes around.
Did you tell the students that the staff has painted it with a clear
Yeah.
coat?
So there's a clear coat over it, so we hope to protect it for at least this winter and hopefully next winter. So, yeah, it turned out fantastic. It's a great creative process that happened and it was a great partnership with the school
That's awesome.
district.
That's great. That's
So
great.
depending what happens, they might have to come and do some touch-up work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a whole new design.
We have
Yeah.
more plows.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
say, yeah.
See, you don't have to give up the plow
A
idea.
whole fleet, a whole
Yeah.
fleet of plows.
Well, one thing we learned that there's a lot of different shapes of plows.
Yeah.
Because when Joyce and I came
Oh, yeah.
to pick one out, I didn't realize, we both didn't realize how many different.
That's great. Great. Wow. So did your families get to see it? Have they? Yeah, they got to take a look at it. That's great. Well, thank you
Were
very
there
much.
many at the bonfire?
Yeah,
Okay.
there at the bonfire. And when we were working on it in May, a lot of classes would come out to see it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good. Well, congratulations. Thank you very much. We really
Thank you.
appreciate that. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah,
Good job.
thank you so much. Thank you. Well, we're going to continue with our meeting. Kara, you are certainly welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, or you can just say goodbye and we'll see you at your next plow painting. That's great. Thank you all
Thanks
very
for
much.
coming, guys. Thank you
Thanks,
so
thanks.
much.
Thank you. How about you bet? Just put it right back in there or snap it in. There you go. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye now.
Good job, Kara.
Kara.
Thanks, Kara.
Thank you.
Okay, moving back to item number 4, our consent agenda. So we have 4A is the approval of this evening's November 14th Board of Supervisors meeting agenda. 4B, approval of the minutes of the Monday, October 17th regular meeting of the Board of Supervisors. C is approval of the minutes of the Wednesday, October 26th special meeting of the Board of Supervisors. That was our budget hearing. Item number 4D, approval to pay invoices from all of our funds for a total of $1,127,586.79. Of those bills, there are a few items of note. $588,281.13 to Wilmington Trust for the East Lampeter Sewer Authority debt service payments. $15,350 to Herbine and Company for 2021 audit services, and $8,639 to Ronks Fire Company for their vehicle insurance. Of the $1,127,486.79, those are the items of note. Okay, gentlemen, what's your interest?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second,
Okay, motion is being made by Corey, second by Mike. Questions or concerns? Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Corey.
Aye.
And chair says aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, we going to item number 6, presentation for the possible East Lampeter Sewer Authority borrowing. Scott Shearer. Scott, you heard me give the spiel there. You might want to just pull it off there and talk right into it, so that way Ethan can hear you.
I wish I had something as exciting to talk about as snowplows, but unfortunately, it's kind of boring numbers.
Yeah,
That'd be pretty cool.
exactly.
Hopefully it does kind of stay all through the winter. It doesn't get too.
Yeah, there you go.
I've never seen a snowplow. I've seen a lot of snowplows around the
Yeah.
state. I've never seen one with a penis. So
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty cool.
So we were first. There you go.
Yeah, very neat. So let's see. So I guess this meeting kind of precipitated with a meeting with the authority. They said would have been last month, where every couple of years the authority needs to start looking at potentially borrowing some funds for some various capital needs. So we attended the authority meeting, showed some various options, maybe $4 million, $5 million, $6 million for their near-term needs. Had a good discussion, plan on coming back, but basically it was, well, let's come back to the supervisors and talk about the amortization and what it's sort of preferred, and then we'll go back again to the authority this month or next month and kind of continue the process. So that's what led us here to this evening. As far as just going through the handout real quickly, on page 2, obviously we're talking about borrowing some money, so we'll just spend a couple seconds of market update that you're probably all reading about or watching. It's sort of crazy times out there. The Fed keeps increasing the short-term interest rates, which is what that chart reflects there. We've seen quite a few increases in 2022, and there probably will be another one yet in 2022, and then potentially some in 2023. As far as where it goes from there, who knows? That depending on kind of the overall borrowing structure for the authority, if it moves forward, if it's a fixed rate transaction, meaning the rate's locked in for the full amortization, what the Fed is doing does not directly correlate to those rates. But say if it's a variable rate loan, which the authority has done that before and proved to be very beneficial, then what the Fed is doing does have kind of direct correlation, but it's a very short-term interest rate. So again, market is very volatile. If we actually maybe even just skip to, and we'll come back to the other bullet point, but why don't we just skip over to page 3? So that's a brief update on the short-term interest rates. On the long-term interest rates, if we just go to the bottom of page 3, so this is a 10-year municipal index, and the bottom chart just goes back to early 2020. And you can kind of see where we were on the left-hand side. You see the spike. That's when pandemic hit. The market kind of shut down for a few weeks and then went back to kind of normal. And then we stayed at historical lows for a long time until January of this year. Then we saw the spike. So right now, longer term rates are a fair amount higher than where they were earlier this year and last year. But all things considered, we're still basically at historical averages. And that's what that middle chart above shows, that basically 55% of the time interest rates are higher than where they are today. So long story short, a lot of volatility, rates are up, but right now we're more at the historical averages, not unfortunately the historical lows that we experienced for many years. But we knew at some point things were going to have to move upward, and we're seeing that now. The question is, how long will they stay this way? And do we see anything coming down? And unfortunately, crystal balls are broken. We kind of know where we are right now. The Fed does, like I said, assume they're going to keep increasing rates, short-term rates, but then what impact will that have on the long-term rate? That's the unknown. And there's so many global issues out there that have probably even more of an impact than what the Fed does on the rates. And we just can't predict that. So that's a brief update on the rates. Back to page 2, as far as the authority projects, as I mentioned, they're looking between 4 and 6 million, at least for the numbers that we were talking about at the last meeting. Anytime, just as a kind of a bigger picture, anytime we're talking about new money needs of our client, we also look at any refinancing options as well, taking your existing debt, maybe replacing the interest rate with a lower rate. The authority has no debt right now that is eligible to be refinanced. We got to wait back until 2024 to potentially refund the 2019 bonds. So nothing to do at the authority level. as far as the township side of things, there is one transaction, it's the series of 2016A that basically now refundable, we're at the call date, but where those rates are versus where today's rates are, doesn't make any sense to refinance. Obviously, we're not going to recommend forward with something that is not economically worthwhile. So we're going to continue to watch, and maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, maybe rates go down and it might be worthwhile to refinance. But at the moment, nothing to do. And the last point on page 2, if the authority and the township decide to move forward with the capital needs of the sewer authority, we would do, we call dual track approach. We look at doing a bank loan, and we also look at doing a bond issue. Bank loans have worked pretty well in the past. Again, it's market pending. We're seeing right now, we're almost at a 50-50 split between what's making the most sense, bank loan or bond issue. So again, we don't know until we put things out to bid like we would in the past. So we would employ that dual track approach if we decide to move forward.
Scott, are bank loans easier to refinance, like less like?
It
Sure.
depends. So a bond issue, probably the best prepayment feature you're going to get is a 5-year call
Okay.
feature on a bond
Okay.
issue. On a bank loan,
Yeah.
We push hard to have it prepayable at any time.
Mhm.
That's obviously more flexible.
Yeah.
Sometimes the banks still put on maybe a
Couple
2
years.
year or
Yeah.
5-year call feature, but typically, I mean, your point is a good one. Typically, the bank loan may be a little bit more
Mhm.
flexible.
Yeah. But really, at this point, we're looking at rates, right? I mean, that's the big decision,
Yeah.
does the bank, yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Pages 4 and 5, I can probably skip. That's just the overall debt portfolio. Well, actually, let's just on page 4, this is the township's existing debt. Just shows the different series. One of your notes matured this year, the one from 2002. So you have 4 debt instruments outstanding, the 12 notes, and the 16 note, and the 19 bonds, and the 19A bonds. So again, nothing to do right now. I think what kind of more important on page 5, so this is the authority's debt, i.e. the debt that the township guarantees. That's why in the red banner it says guaranteed revenue deal. So this is where I think it's important. When you look in column 5, this is what we focus on when we're looking to structure new debt for the authorities. What's the existing structure? So right now, your level, authorities level, and what you guarantee about 1.6 million or so, and then it drops off a little bit in 2028, and then it substantially drops off in 29 and 30 and 31, and then debt free thereafter. So when we're looking at potentially issuing new debt for the authority that the township can guarantee, we have to take that into consideration, the existing debt. Obviously, there's rates in place to cover that debt service and what's going to be most advantageous going forward, which you'll see here shortly. If you go to the next page. So these are the 3 main options. In the blue is a $4 million borrowing, and the green is a $5 million borrowing, and then the orange is $6 million. And really the difference between the 2 options in each one of those colors is the structure, meaning the payback structure. The one on the left-hand side is what we call level debt service. It's basically 10-year level principal and interest. And to the right of it is what we call the wrap structure, where we basically defer any principal payback on the new loan until the existing debt pays off. So let's just look, for example, in the blue for the $4 million option. In column 9, if you borrow $4 million, the authority borrows $4 million and the township guaranteed it, and you structure it as basically 10-year level debt, that your annual debt service is about $500,000-$600,000. And then you see in column 10 what the total authority debt is that the township would be guaranteeing is jumps up to about 2.2 million, and then it drops down from there. On to the right of that, if we would do a wrap structure, now you see in column 11 the debt service is about a little under 200,000 for the next say 5 years, and then it starts to bump up, and you see those bigger payments in the last 4 years. But when you look at it in totality with the authority's existing debt in column 12, you're now kind of level at about 1.8 million out, a little bit longer. So there's no right or wrong answer here how to amortize. It comes down to impact to the rates. So the wrap structure will have less of an impact to the user rates, because you just don't have to increase the revenue as much to cover the debt service. But again, there's no free lunch. So if you look down in the total for column 9 versus column 11, the total payback with the level structure is about 5 million. the total payback is almost 5.4 million with the wrap structure. And the reason being is it's a little bit more backloaded.
Right.
And so the interest expense is going to be a little bit more with the wrap. So that's the kind of issue to solve for is level debt service is a little bit more efficient in the long run from a total debt service perspective. But the wrap structure, I would say, is more efficient from an overall impact to the user rate, because you just don't have to again generate that much more revenue to cover that debt service because it's fitting nicely in with the existing debt.
Mhm.
And then the trend kind of continues with the green and with the orange, the 5 and 6 million. They look very similar. The wrap structure for basically all three options is going to be a little bit more expensive. But again, it has a lower impact to the debt service.
Mhm.
No right or wrong answer. Clients, half the clients do level structures, half the clients do wrap structures. It really just comes down to affordability and rate structure that the utility has in place. So I think that's really kind of what we were looking for to have a discussion tonight is if there's a preference here, as far as you'd be moving forward with the guarantee, which one, kind of makes more sense. And then I think with that, we could take it back to the authority relay for what we talked about, and they would try to then decide exactly how much money they need.
What was the authority on this? What were their thoughts?
They really were looking for the supervisors to, because the supervisors set the rates, they were really looking for your input. I think in terms of the amount, based upon what I heard at their October meeting, as well as just because of the way the meeting worked out, they already had a meeting this month. So they seem to be settling in on the $5 million area as the amount.
Mhm.
Not that that's finalized in any way, but that seemed to be where they're headed.
Mhm.
5 million is a threshold for
5 million is a threshold for the threshold for bank qualified debt is 10 million. So obviously we're well below there. 5 million is more for what's called the small issuer exemption, where the issuer would be allowed to keep any positive arbitrage, which actually we're now seeing. And positive arbitrage means that you borrow, say, at 3% and you invest at 4%.
Mhm.
So if you meet that criteria being a small issuer exemption, there are boxes that we can check and work with your bond counsel to see if we can do that. And again, it's not something that we've seen for the past probably decade, but we've definitely done it over the years. So it's it's a small advantage to do 5 million for us.
So I think that was part of their feeling and reason. They're also thinking, although, and we did provide you with a list of the various capital projects that they're faced with. And I think their, I'm not going to say crystal ball, but their hope would be that, although 5 million doesn't cover all of everything that's on that list, that, by the time they get to the end of having used the 5 million, maybe the rates will be lower. And if they need to borrow again, it'll be less of an impact at that point in time. So that's sort of the discussion that's been going on with the authority. But in terms of, a level structure versus a wrap structure, they were really looking for the supervisors to weigh in on that.
Thank you.
I mean, both options are both actually very prudent. I mean, we're not talking about 20-year, 30-year financing here.
Sure.
We're basically talking about 10-year
10 years.
terms for each. It's just one's level and one's a little more backwardated. So, we've done a lot of analyses over the years where the difference is dramatically different, because maybe the wrap structure is maybe 20 years or even longer, and it's the bigger payments in the last couple of years. That's a tremendous amount of interest expense.
Yeah.
It does not, at that point, it does not make sense. But here, these are both very prudent structures, being very short amortizations. Obviously, there's a difference though in the total interest expense, but in the big scheme of things, they're both good structures.
Sure. Gentlemen, thoughts?
What rate did you use for the estimate?
We used at the time, the footnote, we used kind of real rates with about 35 basis points of cushion.
Okay.
So we're talking for 10-year, a little over 4%.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the wrap isn't, as Scott said, our debt was, we were going to be completely paid off in 2031, you know, roughly 10 years from now. You know, what are we, $95 a quarter for sewer?
Per EDU, yes.
Per EDU.
Yeah, for the average resident. If we did the wrap and went up to, you know, debt service of, I'm using the 5 million,
Okay.
1.8 million, we're currently at 1.7 million. Can we pay that debt service off with at 95 EDU, you know, maybe 100 EDU? I mean, rough math,
Mhm.
Right, that's the,
probably, you know, something in the
Yeah.
100, you know, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, 5%
Yeah.
increasing. And I know we're looking at EDUs for commercial and other stuff, right?
right, there's a
Which-
rate analysis going
Rate
on right
analysis,
now.
exactly. You know, my head goes to, because the wrap and the level aren't that different.
Mhm.
You know, it's same number of years.
Mhm.
Although, you know, you do have to pay, right? You know, it's $500,000 difference, 6.2 to 6.7. My head goes to wrap.
Mhm.
You know, I would,
You look at the benefit of maintaining current
exactly.
Debt service.
That-
rates.
Current
No,
rates to pay for the debt service. Yeah, basically, my
He's
thought
looking
is,
Short term, over the bulk of this
Yeah.
term,
Yeah.
maintaining a level
the
rate.
level,
With an understand that we would probably be increasing rates a bit anyway.
Yeah.
For just,
Yeah.
I would say for necessary.
Right.
Increasing expenses overall,
right?
as opposed to increasing the rates now to pay directly for it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you use the word level, which is the other thing, but yes, I want to keep the debt service level by
Correct.
using the wrap.
Correct. No, I what you mean.
And I would agree with
We
that.
got to change the name of the level of wrap. That makes no sense, but whatever.
It's just, there's no other way to describe it.
Yes.
You got to describe that payment.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
Mike,
I would,
you're suggesting the same thing. You like the idea of, you know, giving the residents, giving the ratepayers at this
there's,
point.
there's no impact on the annual debt service, so we have more consistency, I think.
Yeah.
And the rate, the total isn't, I mean, it's more, but it certainly doesn't seem like it's unreasonable.
Ethan, thoughts?
I'm digging back through my memory banks here. I think the last time we did this was about 5 years ago.
2019.
Yeah.
2019, yep.
And at that time, we had the same discussion and we went with the wrap at the time. And so we kept that debt service around that $1.6 million, and you see it rolling through 2027.
Yeah.
And then, so the big question is, when we look forward at the infrastructure costs of the sewer authority, are we looking at a similar debt issuance or debt take on in the next 5 years? If it's, hey, this is the amount of debt for this that we're going to need for the next 10 years, then yeah, we wrap it. But if we're looking at this saying, you know, about every 4 to 6 years, we're looking at doing another debt piece, then we need to increase our budget for our yearly debt service. So it's one of the real question is going forward, is it better to say, hey, we want to have budget in a debt service is about $2 million a year or 2.1 or 1.8? What's 4 years from now? Are we going to have the same question? That's really the main question I have. Because if they're looking at, hey, we could do this again and get some lower rates, I don't think they're looking 10 years from now. I think they're looking, 4 years from now. In which case,
We're back to the same conversation again, and we've done that now. That'll be the third time in 9 years, had that same conversation, and maybe we should have been looking at this different.
yeah.
So
So I
I'll
mean,
defer
make-
much
yeah,
on the
Yeah.
kind of the timing of it, but just from a legal standpoint, for the authority to issue the debt, the township to guarantee it, there has to be a reasonable expectation met to be able to borrow on a tax exempt basis. And that's basically, will you be able to spend
Right.
85% of the money within 3 years?
So legally, we're not able to borrow for projects 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now. It's a much shorter term horizon. But I kind of remember from the discussion with the authority, this 5 million is probably in that 3-year window.
Definitely, yes.
Definitely. So it's, you can see it, it's coming.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think, I think Ethan had something else I wanted to add. Go ahead, Ethan.
Yeah, so that's really the question is if we're planning on, hey, about every 3 years, we're looking at doing a similar issue, then we need to upgrade our budgeted debt service per year.
Thoughts, Corey?
Yeah, no, I get what Ethan's saying. Tell me more about the rate analysis that we're doing.
so HRG
Mhm.
was engaged to look at the current rate structure as well as possible changes to the rate structure. And that could be everything from, maintaining everybody on an flat EDU basis to moving non-residential to consumption,
Right.
water consumption basis, and trying to make sure that the ratepayers are each paying their fair share
Sure.
of the
Yeah.
total cost
Yeah.
of operating and paying the debt service. So HRG was just asking us to provide them with a few accounts that we would suggest they look at to sort of use as examples,
Right.
when they're making a presentation, say, okay,
Right.
here's the impact
Yeah.
to this type of user if we do this.
Sure.
So that'll be coming as part of the analysis as well.
And HRG, of course, because they probably put this together.
Yes,
So they know our capital needs over the next, how far does this go out?
I think it's 5 years, isn't
It goes out to 2024
5 years.
ish. Yeah. So I guess part of that analysis, would they say, okay, an EDU for residential as an example should be $105 a quarter. I think maybe in that analysis, to Ethan's point, we say, how much would we have to equitably charge across residential and commercial to get to a debt service of
it? 2
2 million?
2 million.
Or maybe at 1.8, 2 and 2.2, something like that. Just to, help with that. How long is it going to take for HRG to put that analysis together?
yeah, they're nearing the end, so
Okay.
we were hoping to have it by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think, let me go back to Ethan's point. Because I think it is it's worth repeating and then putting into context. So 4 years ago, we looked at the same situation, had very similar discussion and came up with a decision that said, let's do the wrap and let's maintain
Right.
a certain
Debt service.
rate.
Yeah.
And if we can then have an annual debt service of X, 1.6 or something. But I do think we're going to be back here in under 5 years. Because the authority's going to say, that 5 million, we put it to use. And now rates are better. And we've got some additional projects we need to make sure we're preparing for.
Mhm.
So are we looking at an ongoing budgetary impact of about 1.8 to $2 million, where they are trying to maintain their capital needs, pay for their capital projects? We just need to start to encourage them to and support budgeting that in. We were here 4 years ago. We're probably going to be here in 4 years having the same conversation. Is it worth waiting for the analysis from HRG to see the impact? Mike, your thoughts?
I'm still thinking about this point that you're bringing up, Corey, about that. How much would that impact our decision? To see what they recommend.
To see where they would come at recommended variable rate structures for different users. Ethan, you hear the conversation?
Yeah, I mean, the main question for me, and this is where we come into it, is if we're every about 4 to 5 years issuing about the same amount of debt, that shows me that we've got capital needs that are greater than our budget, which means that the rates we're paying right now aren't meeting the needs. So hopefully HRG would show us that. So it comes into what is that sustainable debt service that meets the capital needs, and we pass those rates along to the rate payers. So that, I mean, that to me is the need for which I've mentioned before as well, but a long-term capital improvement plan for all of our stuff. But the sewer is one where should be what's the 10-year capital improvement plan for the sewer system. That would be that's the data we really need to make the decision. Right now, it's just our best guess based off of the past 10 years of us sitting here.
Ralph, your thoughts, go ahead.
Well, we have identified projects and, you know, the listing is provided there as to, you know, what projects we know of at this point in time. And, you know, that capital need isn't a consistent amount over time. You know, it fluctuates based upon projects and what the demands of the system happen to be in any particular slice of time. So I don't think you can just assume that it's going to be the same every time that a borrowing needs to happen. It's going to be project driven.
But we do know we're going to have the CapEx on a regular basis. And, you know, we've budgeted in a certain level of existing debt service. So we're about a 1.6 million. And, you know, we are at roughly a 5-year time horizon where we go back to the market, get another $5 million and then, you know, proceed to then put that into capital projects and back at that 1.6 million. I think we're probably looking at this and recognizing it's probably more like 1.8 to 2 million. But if we were to look at this, I mean, we don't have to go out 10 years, but just recognizing that every 5 years, we do have a level of debt service that we have to maintain for this. Are we budgeting enough for it? Or is the system paying for it? Are we going out to the ratepayers and say, you know, we need help to pay for this? However we structure it, single family, 1 EDU versus a multifamily or a hotel property, EDUs. I think that's going to come in the HRG survey. But I think the total the annual debt service amount is there, depending upon how we divide it up between ratepayers.
Right. I think the HRG efforts is definitely going to get us at fairness among the ratepayers.
Yes.
Correct.
In terms of the total amount that's needed, that's not going to change.
Exactly. It's already there.
So, you know, the rates are paying, you know, debt service as well as operation and maintenance costs of the system.
Well, that was my question with what you said.
Yeah.
If it's not really going to change that overall need, that's a source of fairness, and that's really what that's all about.
That's what
How's
that
it
is.
going to impact it?
That's what that is.
Well, we'll then have fairness and then we can set the rate for whatever that is so just quick math. So from 1.6 to around 1.856, right?
You're staying with the five.
I'm
You're
staying
staying
with
with the
5 million. Just follow me on the wrap. It's about a 12% increase from 1.6 to 1.85. If you go to the level, so 1.6 to 2.3, right? I just picked the year through 3 down from that. That's about a 30% increase. So again, just back to the envelope math, we're around $95 EDU, realizing EDUs just don't do debt service. They do operating expenses as well. You're about $106 per quarter for an EDU versus about $124 per EDU. So from $95 per EDU to $124. And that's why my head, again, not exactly doing the math in my head, I realized that the wrap would not be such a drastic increase to the EDU rate. And I agree with Ethan. I agree that, we need to, well, one, we need to be equitable across all of the users. But I also don't want to have a drastic increase, with the level.
And in somewhat uncertain times,
Yeah,
the
I
next
mean,
2 years especially.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm not countering what you're saying. I'm just throwing into the equation here. We do know for many years our rates were
under.
artificially low.
I understand.
I mean, we were in a position
Yeah.
where,
Years ago.
we had to come back in and push those up. And I think we're still probably low.
What, in compared to other systems in the county, we
Yeah.
are still a
Yeah.
very low rate.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I understand your argument.
Yeah, I mean,
Ethan, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you go with I'm digging back through my 2019 notes. Yeah, wrapping it is what I'm definitely in favor of doing. I just don't want to keep pushing that number out further.
I agree.
Yeah.
But it's one of, I mean, I was the one who was pushing strenuously for the wrap 4 years ago. So
You once again, you saw the same benefit that Corey is presenting, and I don't think we disagree.
Yeah.
But I would say I am starting to look at this, Ethan, through that same lens that you are, that, we do have, an ongoing set of capital improvement projects that every 4 years we're recognizing that we need the money to do it. And those rates are going to need to keep going up.
yeah, so
Okay.
I'd be in favor of wrapping at this time and then looking at the rate and potentially looking at a larger percentage of that rate going to pay down debt as opposed to debt service.
Just remember, if it's a bank loan, you might have the option to refinance it.
There you go. There you go.
2% or
Yeah,
something
exactly.
amazingly low.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, thoughts? Anything different? I'm hearing, wrap, and I think we were saying the 5 million is what he's going to go back and talk. Scott's going to go back and talk to the authority, but
Yes.
that's about what we're all sort of wrapping our heads around. Okay.
In 5 million.
At 5 million, yeah, 5 million. Okay. All right. Does the authority need an action on behalf of us?
I don't think so. We can certainly go back and
Share-
convey
share-
the
share
message
the
to them.
Okay,
Um,
that's great.
if, assuming that it goes forward,
Yep.
They have a need based upon the analysis that was given there,
Okay.
that they're going to run out of the money that they currently have roughly May or June of next year. So that we're going to need to complete the borrowing by May roughly in order to accomplish that. So
Okay.
decisions will start to have to be made early next year.
All right.
Perfect.
Scott,
Yeah,
anything else?
thank you. Yeah, appreciate the dialogue. Yeah.
Sorry, man, you can't go buy your bow and arrow, but
That's all right. Save some money.
yeah. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate
You'll be
that.
back.
Good to see you.
Have
Good to see
a
you.
good rest of your.
Yes,
Thanks.
thank you very much. Thanks. You too. Okay, moving on, seven, old business. We've got 7A. We have a request for financial security release. Bentley Ridge North, 2194 Old Philadelphia Pike. Anyone here for this? No one on Zoom? Okay. Interest, gentlemen?
Make a motion for full release for Bentley Ridge Land Development Plan.
Is there a second? Motion by Corey, second by Mike. Questions or concerns? Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Chair says aye, motion carries. 7B, request for financial security reduction, Stolzfus, 2218 Forey Road. Township engineer, letter recommending a reduction of the remaining financial security.
That's
Leaving
true.
a balance of how much?
No reduction according to the letter.
That's correct.
Let me get to my letter here, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
I got
Yep.
Scott's stuff here. Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Yep.
Yep. Thank you very much. Yep.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Yep. So the remaining balance would be 5,000. Okay, is there a motion?
Make a motion to not release anything for escrow reduction request number 4 based on the November 8th DMA letter.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Corey, second by Mike. Questions? Okay, Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Chair says aye, motion carries. 7C, request for financial security release. Calumet Enterprises, 2209 Old Philadelphia Pike. Anyone here for this? No one's here for this. The recommended reduction, the township engineer letter is 21,749. That would leave a remaining balance of 0.
Make a motion for escrow reduction, full release, remaining balance 0 for Calumet Enterprises.
Second.
Okay, motion by Corey, second by Mike. Questions or concerns? Hearing none. Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Chair says aye. Motion carries. Thank you. 7D, a request for financial security reduction. Hess subdivision 289/290 Clearview Road. Looks like we are, the recommended reduction is for $4,345. Remaining balance is $7,638.50. That's the DMA letter of 10/18.
Make a motion for financial security reduction of the Hef subdivision, 289/290 Clearview Road, at the township engineer's recommendation.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mike, second by Corey. Questions, concerns? Hearing none. Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Chair says aye. Motion carries. Thank you. 7E, a request for financial security reduction. Miller Land Development, 679 Hartman Station Road. DMA letter of November 2nd, recommending $13,914.12, leaving a remaining balance of $2,310.
Motion to approve the financial security reduction for Miller Land Development, 679 Hartman Station Road, as per the township engineer's recommendation in their letter.
Second.
Okay, motion by Mike, second by Corey. Questions, concerns? Hearing none. Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Chair says aye. Motion carries. Thank you. 7F, time extension for township review and action. Chick-fil-A Land Development Plan, 2467 Lincoln Highway East. This is their second request. So we've got a letter to Colin Chick-fil-A, they're requesting 180-day time extension. Don't see any issues, anything hanging out here that's second time.
No, not really. It's just, you can probably tell by the letterhead, some of the reason for the delay.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. All right. Thank you. Interest, gentlemen?
Motion to approve the time extension for township review and action for Chick-fil-A based on the letter of November 9th from Interplan in Altamonte Springs, Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, is there a second?
Second.
All right. Motion by Corey, second by Mike. Questions or concerns? Okay, hearing none. Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thanks. 7G, time extension for township review and action. Stormwater Management Plan 624 Willow Road. This is also a second request. We've got a letter from 1024. Looks like Team Ag on behalf of Daniel Byler. They are representing Daniel Byler and they're looking for an additional 90 days. Again, Ralph, anything that we should be concerned about second request? Applicants not,
No, it's just taking them time to address the township engineer's comments. So hopefully this will be the last
Okay.
request.
Okay, great. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve a time extension for Township Review and Action Stormwater Management Plan for 624 Willow Road as presented.
Okay, is there a second by Mike, motion by Mike, second by Corey. Questions? Hearing none. Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Motion carries. 8, new business. Time extension for Township Review and Action. Stormwater Management Plan 1724 Lincoln Highway East. We've got a letter dated October 20 from Steck Beck Engineering and Surveying on behalf of 1724 Lincoln Highway East. They are looking for they're giving us the 90 days.
Correct. It's a similar situation. They're
Yeah.
looking for additional time to
Yeah.
address comments. They're working to redevelop that site.
Is that the Riston Black?
Correct.
Yeah.
Wow. Great.
That has been sitting without them open as a viable business for
8 years, 7 years?
It's
least-
been a while.
at least. They still own it, I'm assuming.
They do.
They still own it. Okay. Do we know what they're looking at doing?
Retail, I think.
It's similar type of use where there's a little bit of storage in the back and retail in the
Okay.
front.
All right, so would be February 28, 2023. Okay, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the time extension for Township Review and Action based on the October 20th letter from Steck Beck Engineering and Surveying.
For a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Corey, second by Mike. Questions? Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey. Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you. 8B, time extension for Township Review and Action, Church of the Nazarene Subdivision Plan 2150 New Holland Pike. Once again, we have a letter dated October 20th. Colin, on behalf of the First Church of the Nazarene, looks like Lancaster Civil is sending us this letter. They're offering a 90-day extension of time for the review and approval of the above application. Motion?
So moved. You basically gave them that.
Thank you, man.
Sure.
Second.
Second by Mike. Questions? Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Thank you. 8C, a resolution in reference to DEP's sewer planning module for 441 Mount Sydney Road. Ralph.
Sure. This is the property on the northeast corner of Mount Sydney and Southview. Has most recently been used as a boarding
Bed and breakfast.
bed and breakfast, I'm sorry.
Damn.
And now want to convert it into 5 apartment units because they're increasing the flow. As a result, we still have to go through the planning module, even though this isn't going to go through a normal land development process. But we still need to do the sewer planning in order to satisfy DEP.
And the ingress and egress on that is off of Southview?
It is.
Okay, all right, good. I'm assuming they're on well there.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we've got a resolution in front of us. A motion,
Make a motion to accept the resolution regarding the DEP sewer planning module 441 Mount Sydney Road.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Corey, second by Mike. Questions? Okay, Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carries. Thank you. Item number 9, action items. 9A, a reappointment to the Planning Commission, term ending 11/19/26. Sarah Ryder. Good. Somebody's interested in continuing to serve.
Yes, she's very willing and very interested.
That's great.
Been a good member.
Good. Motion.
Motion to accept the reappointment of Sarah Ryder to the Planning Commission, term ending 11/19/26.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mike, second by Corey. Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Corey. Chair votes aye. 9B, authorization to advertise the 2023 budgets for public inspection. Ethan, you weren't, I think, able to be at the last meeting. So thoughts on this? I think you had maybe some ideas you were interested in presenting.
Yeah, just one that I wanted to bring up at this point. I have reviewed the budget and read the minutes. I made it almost halfway through the YouTube of the meeting, so I haven't fully caught up yet, but I'm working through it. I did want to bring up an item for discussion. I had emailed John about it earlier. We have going back, seems like a lot of our discussions are going back to 2019. So in 2019, there was some sort of disagreement about the direction of the drug task force at the county level. We've discussed it in the past. And earlier this year, John, you sent a letter to the district attorney asking for some clarification. So the position of the township, we had passed a resolution urging the commissioners to look for a sustainable funding source that didn't rely on voluntarily contributions from municipalities. And our intent was, hey, we support the drug task force. We like what it's doing, but we don't believe it's a sustainable funding model the way it's currently set up. In the ensuing years and looking over the next two, I would say on principle, my position hasn't changed, but practically I don't see the county changing their position. And it doesn't appear that our current resolution is influencing them in any way. So I think it might be worth bringing up for discussion if we want to include drug task force spending in our 2023 budget, and say, hey, if the county is moving in this direction and they're not willing to change that, and this is the way they're going, then I guess we can participate in it because we do see the value of it to the community, and we want to go ahead and do our part. So that's sort of the position. I'm willing to sort of advocate for that change at this point. It's a shift, but it just seems to be the practical thing to do at this point. And I would love to hear what the other board members have to say on the matter.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Ethan. Thanks for bringing it up. Yeah, those of us who on this board might, we have all continued to say that, we believe that being a member of the drug task force, supporting the drug task force, we have for years, we really see, the value in this. We'd like to have the county step up and really take the lead on trying to find a sustainable, equitable, fair method of funding this. I think you were part
I
of
think we
some
submitted
conversations.
the letter. I think I was on.
Since you were on, Mike. Yeah. So your thoughts, and Corey, Mike?
So my understanding, what Ethan was saying, because they have not adopted it, what is the recommendation? What is Ethan saying? What are you saying, Ethan? I heard that last part.
Ethan, just summarize the reason for stepping back into the level of funding we've had.
Yeah, I just don't see I don't see any movement on the part of the county commissioners to address that funding any differently than they have in the past. And so since I don't see any movement on that, part of our resolution was to try to encourage them to look at it differently. I don't think that they are. So in that case, it's sort of my recommendation be to reintroduce funding for the drug task force for 2023 at the $1 per capita funding level.
I can give you more context. Yes. So Ethan just made the point that I think I was going to make. In past years, we were giving what the recommended rate was, which is $1 per capita, which is around 17,000 based on the past census.
Right.
So Ethan, you're recommending go back to $1 per capita, which we learned earlier, 17,776.
Very patriotic number this year.
So it's a little bit of an increase from our last time we paid it. I'd be for that. I do recall a couple points. One, I do recall Chief saying in a public meeting that he would like more communication with the DTF and, you know, more activity in East Lampeter. Although if you have more activity here, you probably have a bigger drug issue, but we know there's an issue. We know there's an issue probably in, you know, you can probably close your eyes and throw a dart and hit the issue on a county map. But as a voluntary payer into that system, I think there should be a more open communication between, you know, the two agencies. So in summary, I'd be supportive.
You'd be supportive of it.
I agree that, you know, I don't think that the county's, you know, really looking at any other funding method other than this voluntary per capita rate.
But there was no response to our letter.
Not directly. What staff does know at this point is that there was drug settlement dollars that the county has just started to receive. And they had put together a group to look at how to use those dollars. And our understanding is that a portion of those dollars are going to be used to support the DTF. The commissioners have also had and continue to have the practice and policy that they will match municipal dollars that come in for the DTF.
Which is
So,
new. That's a new thing, correct? Like last few
within the
years?
last couple of years.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's been, we've had it for a couple of years.
So certainly would support the effort to provide additional funding to the DTF, but the new dollars, if you will, are coming from
The pharmaceutical
the-
company,
the-
right?
the drug
opioid.
settlement,
Yeah,
opioid
yeah.
settlement.
Yep,
Right,
drug
right.
settlement, yeah.
So we're returning to $1 per capita
If we would,
versus what?
if we would.
Zero.
Zero.
We're-
Versus zero.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so if we would all agree that we would do this, we'd return to what we had historically been doing for many, many years. And I think back to Ethan's point, still sending the message very clearly, something needs to be done here. Now, Ralph's point is, you know, there are funds coming in this, you know, this, I guess I'll call it class action. All the
Yeah.
states are getting money.
Right,
So,
right.
thoughts, I'd be favor of it. Just,
I would
just
support that.
so, you know, Ethan, so,
I have an unrelated question after.
okay.
Yeah, I'd be supportive of that.
Okay, so I'm hearing board say we'd like to try to work this back in if we can, Ralph, okay? Ethan, good idea. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you,
We really
Ethan.
appreciate that. Corey, go ahead.
I thought, is the municipality going to get direct money also from the drug settlement or no? It's just
No,
going to the county?
what they did was they asked municipalities
Yeah.
to support the distribution.
Okay,
And the more that supported, the more money the county
okay,
received.
okay,
So all the municipalities in the
Yeah.
county did that,
okay.
including East Lampeter. So the
Okay.
county's getting more money as a
Got
result
it.
from
Okay.
that, but there's nothing coming directly to
Okay.
the municipalities.
Thank you.
Okay. All right,
So you need a motion to authorize the
Advertising of-
advertising. I'll make a
Yes.
motion.
The only
Sorry.
other thing I want to point out was that staff did make a few changes based upon the discussions that were had at the workshop on the 26th. And a few other small refinements based upon additional information since that time. So Kevin outlined all those here on the page. If there are any questions about those, we can certainly address them, but we can certainly add the 17,776 for the DTF
good.
in before it's advertised,
Good.
and then it'll be ready for board action at
Good.
your meeting on the 19th of December.
Good. And the fund, with all of Kevin's changes, the fund balance as a percentage of our expenditures at the end of 2023 is still 28.61%.
That's
Our
Yes.
stated policy as a board is
1 year 18.
18%.
18%.
So 18%. So, you know, we're still,
10%.
I think, you know, managing the taxpayers' funds in a very prudent way. So, okay, I need a motion.
Make a motion to authorize to advertise 2023 budgets for public inspection.
Second,
Okay,
including the addition of the DTF.
DTF dollars.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so motion's been made by Corey to advertise with the addition of the DTF funds, seconded by Mike. questions? Hearing none. Ethan,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Aye.
Corey, chair votes aye. Motion carries. We can advertise the 2023 budget. Thank you, staff. Item number 10, managers report.
Yes, briefly, because I know there's a football game on.
Thanks.
45 minutes
Um,
ago, but that's all right.
The Walnut Street Lancaster Heritage Pathway Project continues. We do expect in the next few weeks there to be additional blasting in the area of the interchange on what I would call the western end of the project. So as a part of that, there may be the need for them to briefly stop traffic on Route 30. So you may hear about backups because of the proximity there. And we may also start to get additional phone calls from nearby property owners about blasting. We believe all the blasting is being done in accordance with requirements and appropriate, but just wanted the
Are
board
we
to be aware.
getting calls?
I have not been hearing about many calls at all. It's been relatively quiet. There's zero traffic disruption from the project. So yeah, at this point in time, we're not hearing.
As we've said all along, this is literally going to sort of appear and people will not have really thought that it was all going on. So traffic on Pitney over the culvert still
Right.
still believe it's
Still happening. We expect that to be completed probably by the end of the month.
And then-
Assuming weather is cooperative.
do the inspection, make sure it's
Right.
culvert's in good shape, and then we can move on.
The whole route, the road as well as the culvert.
Yeah.
And only daytime work?
Yes.
Okay.
The only other thing I wanted to mention was we did have a kickoff meeting related to the two studies that have been funded by the Connects 2040 program. So we learned about our required consultant selection process. So we'll have to go through a request for qualifications, select the preferred consultant, and then negotiate the scope of work and the price. So we know how to do that now. We'll get that started as quickly as we can. We're also hoping that we'll hear about our local share funding project from the CFA. They're supposed to have a meeting tomorrow. And Tara's convinced we're going to hear good news
Nice.
tomorrow.
We're
So,
getting it. Good.
we'll see how that goes. That would be for looking at the area east, north of the current project, as well as the area through the Oak Grove and Willow Lane neighborhood,
Good.
and how we're going to do that.
Good.
So
Awesome.
we're hopeful.
That's great.
And that's progressing.
Good.
That's it for me.
Okay. Anything
Great.
else? Board?
No.
Ethan? Anything else? Okay, motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion by Corey, second by Mike. Ethan?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Corey?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Motion carries. Thank you all very much. Ethan, good to see you again. Thanks for logging on. Hopefully everybody at home is feeling better.
Getting there.
All right. You got a house full of kids now. Welcome to it.